If you can
All
switch
right,
to,
let me silence everybody. Wow, what a beautiful group this is.
so what I want to start with was just a kind of a reminder. We do have some guidelines for when we discuss, and from time to time, I feel the need to reiterate these. A reminder because I get lax. This is from the Way of the Council from the Zen Peacemaker Order out in San Francisco. And that's the order where our Roshi was trained, Father Kennedy, out in San Francisco. And so, in the spirit of developing, cultivating non-judgmental awareness, we say when listening, listen from the heart without analyzing, agreeing, or disagreeing. This is something that Joseph Campbell called a willful suspension of disbelief. We tend to read or listen thinking about whether we agree or disagree with what a person is saying. We try to suspend that when we're in this room. When speaking, speak from the heart, naming what is alive right now. That means it doesn't matter where you were, and stay with the present moment when you talk, and speak from that place. Silence is welcome. If nothing's there, that's like a Quaker meeting where often they sit in silence before the spirit moves them. Be lean of expression, going to the essence of what needs to be spoken. Be spontaneous, trusting what comes rather than what one has rehearsed or what one thinks needs to be said. And the final one, confidentiality with deep respect for people's privacy and the transiency of the moment. And I love that phrase, the fact
Say that
that
one again.
out of respect, okay, deep respect for people's privacy and the transiency of the moment, participants are encouraged not to engage with other participants on things that come up in council or to share specific content with others. That means what you see here stays here. I'm waiting for the here from the
Here, here.
12 steppers. They left me flat. I probably couldn't get an amen right now if I wanted to. So today we are going to talk about energy. Why are we going to talk about energy? Uh, because that's what's sacred. If you look at the classical definitions of God, God is the ground of our being. So, what can we say is the ground of everything that exists? Everything that exists, science tells us, is vibrational energy. Therefore, to me, it follows that what the ancients called God or named and labeled God is that energy field. Say, my God is the God of the quantum universe. Okay. Now, what begins to happen is that, as I've been saying, when we come to our senses, we're beginning to directly experience that field which has no face. Okay. Our senses put a face on that energy. And as I've said for the past few weeks, when I experience that vibrational energy with my eyes, God becomes color. When I experience that vibrational energy with my hands, it becomes touch. When I experience that vibrational energy with my ears, it becomes sound. So there's this vast array of energy, and your brain is like a tuner, a radio tuner, which is capable of tuning in certain frequency and ignoring other frequencies. So that when I'm listening to public radio, it's screening out classic rock. It's screening out death metal. It's screening out all those other bands. They're there, but that's not what I'm experiencing. All right. And this is what everybody is trying to say now in psychology. You think you're seeing reality, but you're seeing a projection of what your mind expects to see based on your past experience. So, one way of understanding the process of becoming mindful is to see that filter process in
Action.
operation. Okay. So, what Sharon is going to talk to us about is looking, and instead of seeing things, because there are no things out there, there's nothing solid. We've been trained to see things, and we think, and this is what Joseph Campbell called misplaced concreteness. He said, God is not a noun, God is a process. That's why God can't be named, it can't be spoken, because it's constantly changing. It's way too complex. It's why the Buddhists don't talk about causality, why we don't ask the question, why did something happen? Because the emergence, the simultaneous emergence of all the things that are happening is way too complex for the mind to label and divide into discrete categories. So she's going to encourage us, for example, to look at pain. And instead of seeing this monolithic solid thing called pain, see that it's a living process that's unfolding. And pain becomes interesting, because as you watch it without judgment and you open to it, it starts morphing into a lot of things. You realize you've got a dialogue going on with the pain. You're telling yourself a story about the pain, all of which shapes it, okay? And then all of a sudden, bam, it's gone. And your brain will shift to the next thing that wasn't in pain a minute ago, but now it is in pain. And our brains do that, they shift. So what happens? What happens is one of the classic questions in Western theology is God all good and not all powerful? Why does evil exist in the world? Okay. Or is God really not all good, but is all powerful? And the philosophy behind Zen Buddhism is a unitary philosophy. That means it believes that God is the author of both good and evil, which is a biblical statement. Uh, it's a being all good is something we claim for God that immediately begins to distort our whole relationship with reality. When you begin to see that, it's why Rumi says, out in the field beyond right doing, out beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing, there's a field. I will meet you there. He's saying that we have to get past that dualistic thinking, that wanting to divide it into this is preferable and this is something that I'm trying to avoid, before we can have a full, authentic relationship with reality. That really offends our thinking because we've been raised in a very moralistic, very dualistic culture. We claim to be monistic, but when you get down, even in the root of Judaism, there's still that division into right, wrong, good, evil, and not seeing that it's all part of a process, of a self-correcting process that you can begin to trust without moralism. So, keep an open mind as you listen to her today. Listen a little deeper because there's a tendency when we hear a simple meditation being guided like this to not hear the profundity of what she's moving us towards. What she's moving us towards is a capacity to experience that reality out there.
Or in here.
It's both, and
Yes.
she's going to say that, it's the sacred is not something out there that I'm trying to get in me. I'm part of that same energy field. There's no separation between me and that energy field. We can establish a figure ground relationship, and that's why the whole concept of epigenetics raised some real critical questions that said your genes don't determine who you are because your environment's constantly selecting what genes are getting activated in your system. So your environment is equally important to you. Where you take your body, what thoughts you think are all shaping your relationship. So what we're doing in mindfulness is learning to take the filter off. So I think if you begin, someone just recently got glasses and they went, oh my God, I can see leaves. And anybody who's had that experience knows exactly what they're talking about. It was the same way when I just had my cataract surgery. Oh my God. So mindfulness does that, is that all of a sudden reality becomes more intense, becomes much more fluid. Your relationship becomes much more happening on an energetic sense in which you feel the energy flowing into you, you feel the energy flowing out. That flow, that energetic flow, it's why you see diagrams of people meditating looking like a torus, a big donut. And they got energy spouting out of their head and it goes around and it comes up their butt and it keeps going around and around like that. That is a very accurate depiction of what that kind of relationship feels like, to where I'm open to each moment, receiving it, letting it impact all my sensors in my body, let it light me up, and then pass without clinging to it, not hiding onto it, not fighting anything that's moving through me, just staying in the flow. That's the flow we're looking at. And so Rumi says there's a kiss we want with our whole lives. We don't even know why we're miserable. He says there's a kiss we want. What is that kiss we want? He says the feel of energy on our bodies, to actually be able to feel that intense relationship with what that loving reality that surrounds us. So as we enter into this meditation, keep that kind of in the background, maybe 5%, uh, when you're listening to what Sharon's got to say. So let's go ahead. I'm not going to say dive in. I hate that phrase. It came out of yoga. It's way too cutesy. We're going to open and surrender.
Okay. To lesson 3. Okay, here we go.
Awareness of the body. Welcome back. For today's practice, we are working with mindfulness in the body. This meditation helps us see the difference between the direct experience of our bodies and the more habitual and conditioned add-ons that we tack onto that direct experience. Being able to see the difference between these helps us to allow sensations arise and subside naturally, without clinging, condemning, or disconnecting. Mindfulness can allow us to experience fully the moment in front of us, what Thoreau calls the bloom of the present, and to wake up so we don't miss the small, rich moments that add up to a dimensional life. Throughout the meditation, when I become silent, that is your signal to put into practice what I've just suggested. To start, you can sit comfortably or lie down. You can close your eyes or not. Feel the space within which you're sitting. Feel the ground underneath you, supporting you. Notice yourself in that space. You don't need to reach out. You can trust that. Relax. Notice how the earth is supporting you. You don't have to manufacture that or make it up. We learn to receive that, and we can trust that. Bring your attention to the most predominant sensation you feel in your body. Attending to the world of sensations is one of the best places for us to be able to see the difference between what is actually arising and what we may be adding onto it. You don't have to name these sensations, but feel them. Can you feel the direct sensations you're actually experiencing? Notice pressure, vibration, warmth, coolness. Watch them change. Notice that moving into the world of direct sensations brings us to the world of seeing constant change. Notice how everything is constantly arising and passing away, shifting and turning. If an unpleasant sensation arises, practice being with it just in the present moment. Notice how the mind may quickly project it into the future. What's it going to feel like tomorrow? What's it going to feel like next month? Are we with it just in the present moment? Or are we adding an interpretation, a judgment, a self-image? I'm bad, I'm weak, I'm wrong, I'm failing. Is the whole rest of the body tightening up as though to reject it, thereby adding stress and tension to unpleasant sensation? With pleasant sensation as well, can we be with it and enjoy it just in this moment? Or are we anxious about the possibility it may leave, we may lose it? Are we comparing it to our idea of what actually should be happening right now, our expectation? And if it's a neutral sensation, are we kind of oblivious to it, disconnected from it, half asleep, because it's not strikingly pleasant or unpleasant? If we notice any of these reactions, judging, interpreting, projecting into the future, comparing, we can gently let go and return our attention to the actual sensation in this moment. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, see if you can notice the distinct sensations. If it's painful, maybe it's actually moments of twisting, moments of burning, moments of pressure, moments of stabbing. None of these may feel good, but if we're watching burning, twisting, stabbing, rather than a seemingly monolithic entity of pain, we're watching change. And then we're watching life itself, and pain becomes an alive system. So too with a pleasant sensation or a neutral sensation. If our attention is relaxed and open, we can see the component parts moving, shifting, coming, going. If there's another sensation in your body that's drawing your attention, go there and observe it in the same way. You feel it distinctly in this moment and see it for what it actually is. Perhaps as you observe it, it grows stronger. Maybe it grows weaker. Maybe it seems to stay just the same. Maybe it breaks up into little pieces. But with the keenness of attention, you can observe it in process. Note too that if the sensation is particularly intense, it's always possible to bring awareness to another part of your body to find a greater place of ease or comfort. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes or lift your gaze and end the session. This practice gives us an ability to find freedom, whatever is arising and passing away. We can connect to it, we can be aware of it, we can learn from it, because we're not fighting against it or being lost in it. See if you can take some of that understanding into your day. Thank you for your practice.
We'll continue in silence.
Questions, comments?
Okay, I'll go. What was fascinating to me about this meditation was just the awareness of all of the sensory inputs that are happening at the same time, of of feeling the sensations in my body, at the same time hearing the sounds around me, hearing Sharon's voice and understanding what she's saying. And I had my eyes open, so being, aware of what's happening in the room. And on top of that, my brain is generating thoughts. And so there's another sensory input. And on top of that is just the overall awareness of what's happening around me, the presence of the sangha and the feeling. So the whole thing about the simultaneous generation of inputs from sensory receptors was just fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And, you know, we spend so much time with our minds trying to unify our experience. And the beauty of letting go of thought is that in that moment, your wisdom mind integrates all those complexities that you're experiencing, um, because you're centered in awareness itself rather than being centered in the head, in the process. So this is where the phrase, the mind divides and the heart unites. So when we hear heart, Rumi has this beautiful poem, Close the Language Door. Close the language door. What you want to experience can only be experienced through the heart. Now, remember when we talked about the heart before, it doesn't mean what we think it means. It really means experiencing from this place of non-judgmental awareness. So when we experience down in here, all of that, the senses, everything are being immediately integrated by a wisdom that's inherent in our bodies that we can't access if we're trapped up in our heads, if that makes any sense. So it's so hard for most of us to grasp the reason you're having the experience you're having is not because you're a bad person. It's because you're in the wrong part of your brain. So think about what the present moment means. It's such a vague thing because the past, we know where the past is. That's in the memory banks. We know where the future is. That's in your monkey mind in the projection room trying to anticipate what's going to happen next. Well, where the fuck does the present moment live? Well, it doesn't live in those two parts of your brain. That's one thing we know. So as we get to let go of those two and the attraction of them, we begin to discover that there's this other level of awareness happening in a totally different part of our brain. That's what the ancients called the wisdom mind. That processing from that point, which is neither past nor future, and that's why they call it eternity. It doesn't have depth. It can't be defined. It just this weird place that exists here that you can talk about, but you can't think your way there. Okay. The more what you learn not to do that begins to take you there. That's why Brad, one of the things Vasavada taught was not that, not that, not that, not that. That as you begin in your meditation, begin to see that doesn't work, that doesn't work. You just stop doing it. So even though you don't know what your goal is, the more you stop doing what doesn't work, the closer you get to your goal. Does that make any sense to people?
Mm-mm.
Kind of like the thing of how do you sculpt an elephant? Grab a rock and chip away everything that doesn't look like an elephant. So that's that's kind of what we're doing here. Is that's not peace. That's not ease. That's not joy. I'm going to let that go. Let that go. Gradually, you find greater percent of your time in this undefinable place. Anybody else? Thank you, Tommy.
I'd like to say something. In listening to this, I wanted to just, I've superficially thought about it. I've heard it before, a lot of this, and it makes me feel impatient to corral my whole existence and put it in a cave or something and to go to a retreat and get closer faster, I guess. Uh, I know, but I'm sure wanting it.
I know.
I know it's funny
Oh,
about that. No, I
I'm
mean, I understand.
laughing because out of self-recognition. I mean,
I know.
all there to some degree or another, Sherry. And that's
Yeah.
why that teaching story exists about the guy who comes to the teacher, how long will it take me to get enlightenment? And he says, well, it'll probably take you about 10 years. And he
Mm-hmm.
won't have 10 years. He says, I want it now. What if I give up my life and come here and move into the monastery? How long will it take then? Said, in that case, probably 20 years. And he said, listen, you're not listening to me. I'm telling you, I'm willing to do whatever you tell me.
Uh-huh.
If you tell me only sleep 4 hours a day, I'll do that. If you say read sutras all day long, I'll do that.
There you go.
Say meditate for 14 hours, I'll do that. And that if I do all that, how long will it take? And the teacher says, well, you're right. I wasn't listening to you. In your case, never. Okay. And that's so frustrating to us because we take our Western eyes and set it on Eastern teachings and try to make it something to achieve. And it's the non-doing. Hear that phrase. It's an elegant phrase. The non-doing presence, not thought, not effort, non-doing presence of your being. What we're trying to do is stop doing. That's a phrase out of recovery. We're all human doings, not human beings, until we can allow ourselves to be where we are right now. That's why I say nothing to add, nothing to subtract. The wisdom mind is right here. If you can't find it here, Sherry, you're not going to find it in a monastery. It doesn't exist in a monastery. It doesn't exist in a teaching someone has. It exists when you let go of striving, when you let go of conceptualizing. Father Kennedy just basically says, by the time y'all get here, you've read enough, throw away all your books and just sit. Okay? And what I liked in that phrase that is the hardest to get across, again, because when we go to meditation, we want to go somewhere beautiful, like in Yoga Journal with people in beautiful dress, flowing clothes and nice plants everywhere, peaceful gardens to walk in and fountains and beautiful music. That's all a near enemy of where we need to be. As a matter of fact, there's a realm, the realm of the false gods and the wheel of diluted existence, which is that place which only be sustained by external circumstances. And it's a place of pleasure. It's the wrong part of your brain to be in. Listen to what she said about the neutral spaces. Because we are so conditioned to go for the next big experience, intense pain, intense pleasure, something that's really going to hit our senses because we're numb, we're dead, we're tranced out. So we're looking for that to wake us up. He says, just go to the neutral place and watch how your body can't stand that. Okay, that's why we meditate facing a wall, because there's no seduction. There's nothing tantalizes you.
Like we don't know how to be bored.
It's not boredom.
Well,
Okay.
not, I mean, I didn't mean that it was boring, but I'm saying like, nothing super, exciting is happening. So there's nothing to pay attention to if it's not super exciting, right? Wrong, right?
And a fellow from Shreveport who actually wrote a beautiful book on God and the body. His name was Ben Riggs. He's down in Baton Rouge now. He writes for Lions Roar sometimes. And Ben says that boredom is the last room you pass through before you find peace. And I love that saying. Okay, hear that.
Mhm.
So if you're bored, you're letting go of, you're sitting in that place long enough for that desire for something more intense to be happening, to begin to pass, and to realize that I can have this ecstatic experience looking at a blank wall. That it's not about what's in front of me, it's what's inside of me and around me, totally around me, not just any particular part of it, but the energy available in the totality.
Finding the extraordinary in
In
the
the ordinary.
ordinary.
That's a great way of saying it.
And Bart, did you mention grounding? Were you speaking about that already, or did I dream it as I was drifting off?
Well, grounding is one of my favorite things. The more the big things right now happening in therapy, ironically enough, are the impact of the vagus nerve on shifting our moods, the sensory quality of your fascia, the fact that your fascia has more sensory receptors than your other senses have. So these internal senses of interoception, and the fact that the fascia is powered by grounding, by getting our bodies in touch with the negative ions. They teach you how to look for negative ion donors like plants and your animals and your partner. Dirt, putting your hand in the dirt, and how that literally reboots your entire energetic system. Creatine, why are we doing creatine? Because it feeds the mitochondria. The mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. It keeps you in that anabolic rebuilding phase. So all of these things are uh, teaching us how think about marinating your being, marinating your energy. What kind of energy field am I putting myself in? And going back to the earth is fundamental. Again, early assignment in meditation, feel your feet. Feel your feet. If you're aware of your feet all day long, it's getting you to get out of your head and realize there's a whole bunch of juicy shit happening somewhere between the soles of your feet and your head. Okay. This magnificent world and this whole field of fascia that's resonating with the world that you've lost touch with because you're up in your head, because that's where smart people live, right? Wrong.
Yeah.
Is this making any sense? So we neglect the lower chakras. Everyone goes, "Oh, I want to open up my third eye. I want to be." If you open your third eye and you're not grounded in your first chakra, you're going to go crazy. You got to be able to ground it. It's like dropping acid, and you have experiences, but there's no way for you to integrate them when you get back to reality. And it's very similar to why a lot of workshops, they say, do you have a therapist that you're going to once you get done with this workshop? Because we may open you up too fast and you may need to go back and get this stuff grounded and integrated.
Mm. Well, it was something else, I guess, that you were mentioning. I don't know, but it's just the fact that when you're walking with your bare feet on the earth, the natural earth, whatever surface that might be, nothing to do with rubber soles or concrete pavements. The ions, like you said, I mean, it really goes like you can't be angry while you're grounding, or you can't, the inflammation even. I mean, it like heals your body, supposedly.
Not
It's
just
incredible.
the thing is that you can actually tune into these things Bentley, and that's what we forget, that these ancients, these supposedly primitive societies, were far more attuned to their inner senses than we are. Okay? So they closed off to that and they tuned into their energetic body. And there's a book called The Teaching of Plants, something like that.
Secret.
The Secret Teaching of Plants. And the native,
Secret Language of Trees.
yeah, this
Okay.
is a different book. And in it, they asked a bunch of native healers, how do you know the properties of this, healing properties of this plant? And they said, if you and open up to it and listen to it, it will tell you what it can do. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Primitives didn't have a lot of distractions
Yeah.
in life.
right, which is why
So-
Native American trackers could feel weather systems 50 miles away, could feel herds moving and go out and find them with no GPS, because they were wired to magnetic lines. They were wired to where water was, which dowsers are. One of my clients' father played in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's a water dowser. He just goes out with a stick in the middle of the field out in Texas. This is a good skill to have, and he can tell them where to drill their water well to find water. So, you know, these traits are still in us. So again, are you shopping for enough? You know, it's like we talk about relationships. Are you settling? You know, is this a relationship, this comfortable setting? You're not really going for what you want. And this stuff, it's not so much having a goal as to realize if I'm only seeing 1% of what's out there to be seen, what else is happening? What else is happening? Yeah, that's happening. What else is happening? Ooh, that was juicy. Ooh. Oh.
So this isn't a practice. This reminds me of what I posted about yoga. This is the quote from Judith Lassiter is, let me see if I can find it and give it to you as it is. We don't practice yoga to get better at yoga. We practice yoga to get better at life. And I think the same could be said if you substitute the word meditation.
Mm-hmm.
We don't practice meditation to get better at meditation. We practice meditation to get better at life, at the present moment.
So when Jesus talks about abundant life or everlasting life, he's not talking about the afterlife. He's talking about the qualities of that level of awareness that, you know, the kingdom is a way of seeing. It's not a place, and it's in the present moment. It's not in the past. It's not in the future. It's here. And the reason we don't see it is not because we tend to think that I'm not like Sherry. I'm not giving it enough effort. I'm not in the right place. I don't have the right teacher. None of that's relevant. The problem is you're not in the moment. You're still looking for something outside of this moment. So every time you find that way of thinking going on, just drop in, come back. Whew, okay. And what you discover is it gets more intense, it gets more vivid, it gets more real. There's a greater sense of connection. There's more peace, there's more joy, there's more feeling of fulfillment. All of those things are qualities of being. We need to get that list out sometime of how this place feels. So when I work with clients and I move them from dorsal, where they walk in, they're depressed, convinced that life is not worth living, that they're just a burden on everybody about them. And we go through put them on the table, give them a jolt of magnetic energy and put them on some infrared, and all of a sudden they shift to ventral. Bam, there they are in the kingdom. Less than an hour. Less than an hour to make that shift. So It is, yeah, I'm shifting their environment by doing that. They're in the presence, my presence, which helps shift them. The environment helps shift them. But the point is, they walked in with that. They walked in with that. I didn't do anything, didn't anything, don't, no guru. Just created an environment that invited, relax, and let your body shift. But anytime you're striving, you're in fight or flight. That's why you can't get there with that, no matter how hard you try. Anybody else?
What I loved about this was the idea of all the different things that were going on that Tom alluded to. And for me, I visualized a kaleidoscope continuously changing. And the fact that I don't remember that the kaleidoscope is out there. But
Right.
then when I realize it's there, it's that glimmer that brings me back to me.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
I love that image because
Kaleidoscope.
that kaleidoscope, get lost in the kaleidoscope, quit trying to remember which pattern you like best, you know. Or I want to take a picture of that one. So you really can, you know, and you don't sit there and go, oh, I didn't like that one. Oh, that was that's a beautiful image. I like that a lot. And Sandy, I thought you were really going to like that. Say, when you're looking at pain, you're looking at a living system. I thought that was an elegant line,
An alive system.
an alive system, and not a word. Yeah. So if we didn't hear you.
There,
'Cause you're-
she's got it.
you-
I like the word you used, interoception.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you want to expand on that word?
Say there's proprioception and interoception, and proprioception is that is the fascia. It's that sense of where you are in space and moving space. Interoception is your ability. Like I would walk into a doctor's office and say, I feel my blood pressure go up, and they say you can't do that, and I go, yeah, I can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. You know, you can feel your heartbeat. You can feel your digestion. You can feel your bowels and where you're constipated. You can feel your bladder. You can feel all these internal organs. That's an internal sense of your body, your lungs expanding, your diaphragm moving. So again, it's an internal sense. It's not one of your external senses. It's coming from a whole different group of receptors. And they're calling this part your gut. As we know, again, we're getting into more, and I know people got to go. Your heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain says to the heart. So if you look at what your master brain is, the heart has far more important role than the brain does. Well, there's your enteric brain in your gut. You produce your serotonin in your gut, okay? And so there's a whole way that we sense people. I just read an article on how do we sense who's safe. We sense people safety in our gut. I have a gut level feeling about that. The problem is we're not tuned into those receptors. So nociception is the internal sense of pain. The vestibular sense is the ears. We've also got one, there's mechanoreceptors, which feel mechanical motion. There's ones that sense magnetic field.
There's exteroception.
Those are the external, the five
Yes,
external senses,
yes.
which we've cultivated to the detriment of these internal senses. So read about what's going on now. I mean, it's just exploding with understandings of this extremely complex tool that we have for receiving the energies of the universe and saving them, savoring them, and learning to dance with them. Because the people who are attuned with these things don't write books, they dance, they tell stories. The stories came down, But until we developed writing, everything became static. When you write, you're writing for a generalized audience in all time. When you speak, you're speaking to a specific audience at a specific time. There are two different styles of communication. Dancing is a different response to life than talking. You know, one of the things, Dorothy isn't here today. If any of you, she has a YouTube channel called Aridasi, and she's done a number of movies. One is Living with the Mind. The other one that Corinne did a lot of work on is called Breath. And the thing about Dorothy's movies is if you try to understand them, you're lost.
Yeah.
You
Not
will
worked
never
hard at it.
understand her movie. But if you just sit back and let yourself have a visceral response to it, they're amazing. She won a prize in the Eastern Europe for best film, film festival there, and here she is, one of our people who puts together these sensual, visceral films. So, and that would be another way to begin to enter into the window, as it were. So, Omi.
All right. Wow. Let's take a deep breath in.
Wow.
Wow.
My dog hates that. He looks at me. He looks at me every time like, what are you doing?
Just real quick, for anybody that cares, I happen to notice on public television later tonight, there is a Joe Bonamassa concert. It's live from Red Rocks. It's not my favorite album, but I can't imagine that I'm going to be disappointed. I don't think you guys would be disappointed either. So if you care about blues guitar, you can check it out at 8 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah.
Did you guys see my t-shirt?
I did not see your t-shirt.
It says,
Oh, I like it.
yeah. And then the back says worship often.
Yes,
Thank you,
I
thank
love that, Pam. You got to get me one of
Thank
those.
you.
I have no idea where I got it. It's old.
What does the front say?
Temple of Rhythm.
Nice.
Love
Nice.
And then it's got really a nice logo on it. I don't know.
And
if you-
Drew's got a Brothers Bar t-shirt on, I noticed.
Yeah.
So
Tiffany,
remember,
what time did you say that is?
It's 8 o'clock Central Time. And I don't know if, public television is different in every region, so it may or may not be on where y'all are.
Okay. Thank you.
You can always, tune into the Minneapolis one.
Oh, yeah.
Public TV
Yeah.
station.
Mhm.
another thing, Shreveporters, Joe Bonamassa is going to be in Shreveport.
Oh,
Maybe in November. I haven't gotten the date yet.
Sweet. Don't miss it.
But he comes every year.
Don't miss it. I don't care if he comes every month. Don't miss that shit.
The one that we missed that I really am sorry that we missed was
Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt, but
Oh,
what's his name?
oh, Bonnie Raitt was great.
oh God, I would love to see
I love
that.
it.
She was fabulous.
So who's Derek Trucks?
Oh God.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, he's
They
good.
were the Strand, and I tried to get Linnell to go, and she goes, dude, Tedeschi Trucks. If you don't know them, she sings like Bonnie Raitt. He plays guitar like nobody since Dwayne
Mhm.
slide guitar. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And look up on YouTube his set Midnight in Harlem.
Don't blame it on me. You didn't go.
We couldn't get tickets. We were trying to get tickets. But Midnight in Harlem, it starts with an Indian kind of feel to his guitar.
Nice. I'm gonna check it out.
Midnight in Harlem.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay.
All right, y'all, gotta go outside now.
Yep,
Yep.
do it.
Remember, energy is rhythm. Go let the universe dance you.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Love
Thank you
you.
for that heads up.
Love you all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.